why the Prime Minister of South Korea visited Greenland last year with a big delegation, and why you have a long list of global corporations wanting to engage in formal agreements with the new self-government in Greenland. So, for all these reasons, and many others, the Arctic has become the crucial political, strategic, and economic theater of the 21st century. But we should also be respectful and remember that within the Arctic there are people who have lived there for thousands of years. People who have made the Arctic, the neighborhood of the ice, their homes and their livelihood. And our states, whether it is the Republic of Iceland, or the United States of America, or the Federation of Russia, are relatively recent arrivals in their Arctic neighborhood. So the interrelationship between what happens to the people and the disappearance of the ice and the development of the Arctic will also be of fundamentally political and even judicial concerns. What are the legal rights of the people who have lived there for thousands of years compared to the claims made by states and corporations? But there are also similarities between what's happening in the Arctic regions and what is taking place in the Himalayas, where you also have two big countries like China and India, like Russia and the United States in the Arctic, and a number of smaller countries as well. And we are increasingly seeing the development of the Arctic cooperation being seen as a model for the countries in the Himalayas. The message being that what happens in our Arctic neighborhoods is not just of consequence for us in the Arctic or the countries that want to be with us in the utilization of the Arctic, but can also serve as a model for the part of the world where almost 2 billion people depend on the water systems and the effect of the melting of the glaciers of their economies and their livelihood. In that respect, what happens in the Arctic has also global consequences beyond our own cooperation. When I first started speaking about this in the first years of my presidency, Arctic issues were still very, very peripheral in the theater of political dialogue and international conferences. I was sometimes asked, why are you spending your time talking about these issues? But somehow I realized that within the near future, my country and others would have to deal with this in a significant way. So in recent years, we have seen a number of gatherings coming together on Arctic issues, various organizations, expert think tanks, and others. But there is a need, especially in the light of the importance of the issues that I have outlined here today, to enhance this dialogue and to bring more people more effectively and more productively together to discuss and deliberate and decide on the future of the Arctic. A kind of an open invitation where everybody, not just within the Arctic countries, but also in other parts of the world, can come together. And that's why Alice and Scott and I and a few others started thinking about it last year, how we could do this. And in cooperation with a number of Arctic leaders in other countries, we have decided to announce here today at the National Press Club in Washington that we are forming what we have decided to call the Arctic Circle, which is a venue, somewhat a play of word, because it indicates both a geographical location as well as the democratic tradition of everybody coming together around the table in the same way, where there is no distinction of protocol of who is important and who is not important. But everybody who can contribute and wants to contribute to the Arctic dialogue is welcomed. The essence of this initiative is not to create yet another organization in order to replace others. On the contrary, the essence of the Arctic Circle is that it will be a kind of open tent or a public square where different organizations, institutes, governments, think tanks, universities, public associations, non-governmental organizations can come together in their own name, with their own agenda. and through their own decision making, but making use of the great number of people who come there in order to deliberate. It will be, hopefully, the pre-eminent event every year where all those major players that have an interest and involvement in the Arctic can come together for dialogue and discussion, and where also the countries in faraway places like China, India, South Korea, Singapore can come and present a case. Why are they so interested in the Arctic?